This One's Wife. Harry Podcast. Liars Together. Hello, I'm H.G. Tudor. Earlier, I showed you the cringeworthy appearance of Harry on the podcast with Hasan Minhaj. And you might think to yourself, why is it that Harry was involved in doing that podcast? Well, perhaps it was an attempt, like This One's Wife, to make Harry seem amusing and relatable. But why would he choose Hasan Minhaj to attempt to do this? Could it be that you're looking at birds of a feather with two individuals who have a propensity for telling porky pies? Well, let's start with Harry. You'll remember in Spare, Harry described his brother William physically attacking him during a 2019 argument over This One's Wife. "He broke my necklace!" But the timeline conflicts with Harry's prior denials of any rift, and the Telegraph newspaper highlighted inconsistencies with palace security logs which cast doubt on the claim. He claimed that unnamed royals expressed concerns about Archie's skin tone in the racism row over Archie's skin colour during the 2021 Oprah interview. Yet, no actual evidence has ever been provided to support that this was the case, and that it appears to have stemmed from a misinterpreted joke. Harry also claimed in Spare that the royals deliberately excluded him and This One's Wife from Christmas 2018 and other events. However, the Times newspaper provided evidence of invitations issued, including emails showing that This One's Wife's team declined owing to scheduling, not because of snubs. In Spare, Harry accused his family of hypocrisy for shunning him over media leaks while protecting Andrew and Epstein scandals. BBC investigations revealed that Harry was briefed on Andrew's issues in 2019 and attended family meetings which somewhat undermined his blind eye narrative. Harry boasted in Spare of killing 25 Taliban fighters, calling them chess pieces. It actually was the case that leaked briefings showed his role was more supportive than direct combat, as reported in The Sun. Harry wrote in Spare that he believed Diana faked her death and was alive in hiding. This contradicted his 1997 childhood interviews and the 2007 inquest findings. Psychologists said that it was a coping mechanism rather than a factual belief. Harry, in Spare, detailed cocaine, marijuana and magic mushroom use. However, his 2019 user visa application denied recreational drug history, leading to the 2024 court challenge by the Heritage Foundation. These are just some instances of where Harry has demonstrated that he, perhaps charitably, has a little bit of an issue with recalling the detail of matters, or might be said to tell lies. And interestingly, he has partnered with Hasan Minhaj, who, a couple of years ago, was exposed by the New Yorker magazine as a consequence of telling porky pies himself. The article explained that he came of age as a practicing Muslim in an Indian family in post-9/11 America. His Netflix series, Patriot Act, a comedy news show in the mould of The Daily Show and Last Week Tonight, was named for the defining law of that era. The series won an Emmy and a Peabody Award during its 2-year run. He drew plaudits for his blend of autobiographical storytelling and social justice commentary. In 2019, he was selected as one of Time magazine's most influential people. In an accompanying article, Trevor Noah wrote, "We've needed Hasan's voice since Donald Trump came down that golden escalator and turned immigrants and Muslims into his targets." Minhaj's whip-smart commentary, charisma and sincerity was a consistent reminder that Hasan is America and America is Hasan. In Minhaj's approach to comedy, he leans heavily on his own experience as an Asian American and Muslim American, telling harrowing stories of law enforcement entrapment and personal threats. For many of his fans, he's become an avatar for the power of representation in entertainment. However, the journalist that undertook the writing of this report, Claire Malone, found that she was unable to confirm many of the stories that he had told on stage. And then, when she met him at a comedy club in the West Village, Minhaj acknowledged for the first time that many of the anecdotes he related in his Netflix specials were untrue, although he said he still stood by his work. In his 2022 Netflix stand-up special The King's Jester, a biographical reflection on fame, vainglory, and his obsession with social media clout, he relays a story about an FBI informant who infiltrated his family's Sacramento area mosque in 2002, when Minhaj was a junior in high school. As Minhaj tells it, brother Eric, a muscle-bound white man who said he was a convert to Islam, gained the trust of the mosque community. He went to dinner at Minhaj's house and even offered to teach weight training to the community's teenage boys. But Minhaj had brother Eric pegged from the beginning. Eventually, brother Eric tried to entice the boys into talking about jihad. Minhaj decided to mess with brother Eric, telling him that he wanted to get his pilot's license. Soon, the police were on the scene, slamming Minhaj against the hood of a car. Years later, while watching the news with his father, Minhaj saw a story about Craig Monteil, who assumed the cover of a personal trainer when he became an FBI informant in Muslim communities in Southern California. Well, 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 Papa, look who it is, Minhaj recalls telling his father. It's our good friend, brother Eric. On stage, a large screen behind Minhaj flashes news footage from Al Jazeera English report on Monteil. Minhaj's teenage hunch, it seems, was proved right. The moment is played for laughs, but the story underscores the threat that being Muslim in the United States carried during the early years of the War on Terror. Minhaj segues into the case of Hamid Hayat, a young man from another Sacramento area town who spent much of his adult life in prison, based on a confession his attorneys say was coerced. Later in the special, Minhaj speaks about the fallout from Patriot Act segments on the killing of Jamal Khashoggi and Narendra Modi's Hindu nationalism. The big screen displays threatening tweets that were sent to Minhaj. Most disturbing, he tells the story of a letter sent to his home which was filled with white powder. The contents accidentally spilled onto his young daughter. The child was rushed to the hospital. It turned out not to be anthrax, but it's a sobering reminder that Minhaj's comedic actions have real-world consequences. Later that night, his wife, in a fury, told him that she was pregnant with their second child. "You get to say whatever you want on stage and we have to live with the consequences," Minhaj recalls her saying. "I don't give a shit that Time magazine thinks you're an influencer. If you ever put my kids in danger again, I will leave you in a second." However, neither of those things really happened to Minhaj. Prior to the meeting, Monteil, aka Brother Eric, explained to the journalist that Minhaj's story is a complete fabrication. "I've no idea why he would do that," Monteil said. Monteil was in prison in 2002 and didn't begin to work for the FBI on counter-terrorism measures until 2006. Details of his undercover actions were catalogued in a legal case that has made its way to the Supreme Court. The New York Police Department, which investigates incidents of possible Bacillus anthracis, has no record of an incident like the one Minhaj describes, nor do area hospitals. Front desk and mailroom employees at Minhaj's former residence don't remember such an incident, nor do Patriot Act employees involved with the show's security or Minhaj's security guard from that time. During the conversation with the journalist, Minhaj admitted that his daughter had never been exposed to a white powder and that she hadn't been hospitalized. He had opened up a letter delivered to his apartment, he said, and it had contained some sort of powder. Minhaj said that he made a joke to his wife saying, "Holy shit, what if this was anthrax?" He said that he'd never told anyone on the show about this letter, despite the fact that there were concerns for his security at the time and that Netflix had hired protection for him. The Brother Eric story, Minhaj said, was based on a hard foul he received during a game of pickup basketball in his youth. Minhaj and other teenage Muslims play pickup games with middle-aged men whom the boys suspected were officers. One made a show of pushing Minhaj to the ground. Minhaj insisted that, though both stories were made up, they were based on emotional truth, whatever that is. The broader points he was trying to make justified concocting stories in which to deliver them. The punchline is worth the fictionalized premise, he said. What a surprise. Does Harry know that he was being interviewed by somebody who has basically told lies about purported racism? This again calls into question the judgment of Harry and by extension this one's wife. Either you knew about this and you were happy to go along with it, not caring that you're associating with someone who is known and has admitted to making up stories, a bit like what you and this one's wife do, Harry, or you didn't know this, but you haven't undertaken proper scrutiny of the people that you are interacting with as a consequence of the fact that you're both so desperate to cling onto fame that you will end up being ridiculed in the manner that you have and associating with someone who has told lies. Not a particularly good look for somebody who holds himself out, and also that of his wife, as a defender of children online. Which is it? Did they know that Hasan Minhaj told porky pies but were happy to be associated with him? Or did they not know, demonstrating a failure of due diligence? After all, they've got sufficient people whose jobs are to do these things. Or is it simply the case that they don't care because, at the end of the day, Harry and this one's wife have chosen to play fast and loose with the truth themselves where it serves their own purposes, and they're at it again. Either way, whichever way you look at it, Harry has been fraternising with someone who makes things up for clout. I'm H.G. Tudor. Thank you for listening.